Line segments.
Lines and ways.
Hello, I'd like to introduce you to our friends A and B. They're points. If we take those 2 points and connect them with a line, they become a line segment. And then they become endpoints on that line segment. Isn't that cool? That line segment can be labeled either AB or BA. Notice that each label has a line over the top of it. If we were to extend our line segment on both sides with an arrow indicating that the line just goes on and on and on forever, we would then call that something. What would it be, my 3-year-old son?
Line.
That's right, a line. Notice that each side of this line has an arrow showing that it goes on and on forever on both sides. We can label this line either AB, notice there are arrows on both sides of the label, or we can call it BA. Again, there are arrows on both sides showing us that the line goes on and on in both directions. There's a different name for a line segment that only goes on and on in one direction. What's that name for that thing?
Way.
What was that again?
Way.
Okay, a ray. A ray goes on and on in the direction of the arrow. On the other side, we still have our old friend, the endpoint. Every ray has an endpoint, and every ray must be labeled with the endpoint first. So this ray can only be labeled AB. Notice that the endpoint comes first in the label, and it has an arrow on the other side. This ray can only be labeled with the endpoint first. That means we have to call it DC, even though it goes from right to left. The most important thing to remember is that rays can only be labeled with the endpoint first. Just one way. What's a good way to remember that, my 3-year-old son?
Like a one-way street.
Yeah, a ray is like a one-way street. It can only be labeled one way with the endpoint first.